Hey, and welcome back to the podcast. We're here with Peter Tzemis, and Peter is a successful entrepreneur. He has a unique professional journey, including he launched something called Pup Labs. He is a #1 Amazon bestseller for the 77 Laws of Six-Pack Abs. And Peter has authored 7 books. He's consulted celebrities, and he helps companies scale. So we're going to get into all sorts of interesting journeys, ups and downs, as far as Peter's history. So, Peter, glad to be speaking with you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. And so what is on your mind these days? What's your passion, your focus? What gets you excited to get up in the morning lately?
Yeah, Pup Labs has really been a focus. It's my dog treats company. We sell kind of the world's healthiest dog treats around the world. Right now, it's been scaling really well. Our stuff is so clean that humans can eat it too. It tastes delicious too. They're like little peanut butter balls. So that's really been what's been my focus lately.
Well, awesome. And, that concept, it reminds me as a former computer programmer, there was a concept called eating your own dog food, where they say dog food, when you think about it, like the nasty canned stuff, a person wouldn't need it. But then if you had to eat your own dog food, you would go and improve it, make it better until it's good enough for humans to eat. So that's kind of a fun little elevator pitch, unique selling proposition there of it's so good that even you humans eat. And so what do you think you do that makes you different, makes you unique and stand out? Because you always hear how people are just having all these piles of problems. They're always so busy. They can't get a lot done. But then you have these 5 companies you run. You have time to kind of think about the big picture, appear on podcasts. So what's your secret sauce?
I think my secret sauce is just staying in my zone of genius and building the team that is needed to make up for all my inefficiencies. That's probably a good word. That's probably the best thing. I'm very good at being creative, very good at innovating, very good at launching, scaling. But a lot of the operations, a lot of the CFO stuff is not my forte. And so I like to bring in people and build world-class teams and have world-class people with me, specifically people that I can trust more than anything else. I do believe most skill sets can be taught, but finding real loyal people that you can trust, that has probably been the best thing that I've done, is putting together that kind of team all the time, the best trustworthy team you can. It gives me a sense of confidence that I can focus on me, they can focus on them.
I love that. And when I think about, I interview a lot of entrepreneurs here, and you always think about what are the commonalities, right? What are those recurring trends? And it seems like a recurring trend from the last couple of months or so is this idea you're talking about, that instead of trying to strengthen your weaknesses, you strengthen your strengths. And it's kind of counterintuitive to the employee mindset, counterintuitive to school, where they tell you you have to take art class, take history class, and beef up all these skills. And then you end up feeling bad about yourself for those things that you don't enjoy, that you're not naturally good at. But then as an entrepreneur, business owner, team builder, you can say, okay, I'll take that inventory and figure out what are those handful of things that I'm great at, that I enjoy, that makes sense as far as my time goes. And then the rest is just all these other tasks, all these responsibilities that other people can take over for me. Once you get over all that mindset that you know about of just knowing that other people can do it better than you and do it faster and all that sort of stuff. And then you're saying that as far as finding those people to do it, you're saying it's not necessarily a matter of, do they know how to do it yet? Do they have the skills to do it yet? But do you trust them to figure it out and tell you if there's a problem? And so what are sort of the criteria for figuring out that trust? How do you figure out if a person on your team or that you're adding to your team is trustworthy?
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to the character of the person. Are they willing to go the extra mile? What does their personal life look like? What do their relationships look like? I spend a lot of time just meeting a lot of different people, and I kind of keep a little tabs on the people that I think could be good fits, and over time and ask around. It's never just a one-day hire. I have done those mistakes both with employees and business partners, and they never work out. I tend to really ask around about that person. The other people too that I'll employ is I'll employ my brothers, and that's just a family bond that you can't replicate that. So that's been really, really nice to have.
Yeah, and people sometimes talk smack about nepotism, But the upside to that is that there are people that you've known for decades, known your whole life, and so you can kind of
Mhm.
read them better than a total stranger. And so you're saying that one of the things that you like to do is when you have this potential hire, you ask around about them, you take your time
Mhm.
with it. That way you can see what their relationships are like, what other people say about them. And you hear about them sometimes when just in like interviewing in general, you ask them, or you try to give someone a chance to talk bad about someone else, right? Talk bad about their former employer, talk bad about if they failed at some previous project, do they put the blame on other people? And there's just a lot to
Yeah.
be said about that, a lot to think about that, just like how do they treat other people, because that's kind of showing their true colors. And so you have these 5 companies and you run all these different things. And so can you tell us about some of them? Like if you feel like unpacking like Pup Labs or something else, just we want to hear about you and about your successes and about these companies that you've grown. So what do you have as far as story wise?
Ooh. I mean, my first company that I grew and sold, I was still in university. That was an interesting one because I started my internet marketing journey way back in the day, probably 2013. And the first like product book I ever wrote, actually made only $8 in a whole year. So that was a humbling experience. Parents weren't thrilled. They wanted me to kind of push the envelope with school and become a doctor. And, I have a biology degree. But I pushed through that and I kind of learned a lot of things in that it's not about how good the book is written. It's not it's called a best-selling book for a reason, right? And it's about the sales aspect, about the marketing. And so you can have the best product, best information in the world, but if you don't know how to sell it, if you don't know how to package it with a little rainbow and or a little ribbon on top, no one is going to buy your stuff. And then what's the point of having a great message or great product if you can't sell it? And so that was probably one of my biggest lessons there, was just understanding that you need world-class products, but you also need world-class marketing to move those ideas, because without it, the products fail, unfortunately. And someone else in the marketplace with better marketing than you and crappier products is going to outbid you, get your customers, and end up screwing people over in the long run.
I agree that there's so much in what you just said there, in that it's unethical for you to market yourself as best you can, because if you don't, then someone else who is inferior is going to do a better job at the messaging and at the salesmanship. So it's really like your duty to be a good marketer of what you have, and you can
It
have
is.
really good helpful information and really good step by step, but if it's boring, if it doesn't have those fun nuggets, if it doesn't have the conciseness and the entertainment, then it might be missing just a few of those ingredients to make it really stand out. So you did that first company, you had that first book, and then now you have the Pup Labs company. And
Yeah.
so what's happening with that lately? I know that we kind of got into a little bit about how like you're scaling, and sometimes that involves
Mhm.
some headaches, some obstacles. Sometimes it involves looking to like sell the company. So what's been happening
Yeah.
lately with Pup Labs?
Yeah, Pet Labs has been going well. We've just been on the product innovation side focused for the past little while. We had our chews, which have been doing great, but one of the problems with that is that there are a lot of chews out there in the marketplace. And yes, ours are unique. Yes, ours, you can eat them too. But we wanted to create more innovative products in the market to help serve the dogs, but also capture the attention of new customers. Because no matter what, if they see a chew, it's not as attention grabbing. In marketing, like boring is the last thing you want to be in any business. So we've been really deep diving into product formulations, getting vets on board, new modalities of delivering the same benefits, whether it's joint pain, bad breath, itching and scratching, and really deep diving into that. And then building marketing, our world-class marketing around those unique products, because the unique products amplify the marketing to a whole new level.
Fun. So I can imagine that a lot of this is like looking at your competition, looking at benefits, looking at trends, and just kind of putting a lot of that deep thinking time into coming up with these sort of ahas. And so in Pup Labs and with your kind of SEO and marketing journeys, has anything surprised you that you feel like talking about? Is there any been like a total U-turn, total 180 as far as your path goes?
Yeah, I mean, even the dog brand, for example, I actually was scared of dogs and like afraid of them, didn't want anything to do with them for probably 23 years, 24 years. like crazy, like would never step foot like in a dog park, would be super scared and timid with dogs. So I never thought I'd end up in the dog space. But I am getting my own dog, this little golden doodle Zoe, and we had her through COVID, and she like changed my entire philosophy about dogs and who they are and what they deserve and the connection that's with humans. And also then, you learn more about the dog industry and how corrupt it is. And that's kind of when I was like, all right, there's an opportunity here, but also there's like a little bit of somewhat of a mission. I feel compelled to kind of go in this space, kind of help improve it.
And you hear every now and then you hear these sad stories, right? About like the greyhound racing dogs, how they're mistreated, or like I think at some point we all like at least walked past a house where someone had a mean dog that was behind a fence. So that I can definitely see how there is just all over the place, all kinds of, dog shelters, you name it. There's all sorts of opportunities to turn the bad into a good. And what changed your mind about dogs? Like, it's easy enough to say, well, you got a dog and there was the bonding through COVID, but there's still a gap there, right? From being timid around dogs to like being a dog owner. So what made you take the leap there?
I think it was the realization that dogs will love you unconditionally and for who you are right away. I've found, at least in my life, there's been a lot of people that will like you, love you on a condition that you perform, that you are this person, that you are XYZ. But with dogs, they kind of just love you for you, and it was really, it was a pretty special moment when I realized that. I'm like, this is the world just needs more of this. And so why not help these furry animals and really spread the message? And they should not be mistreated at all. Like, they're the purest form of honesty and happiness.
That's great. And that's been something that's, it only clicked for me maybe 3 or 5 years ago, that when you have that friendship, relationship, business connection, and then years pass and one day they just are gone, or they're just not interested in you anymore. And you're like, well, why is that? And then you think, oh, well, maybe I only served a purpose. And once my purpose was gone, then the relationship was gone as well. And then when you come home and the dog is so happy to see you no matter what, that's a good feeling and a good just energy to tap into in general. And so we definitely want to make sure that we tell people about what you have going on and how they can find out more about you. So if someone who's listening to the podcast says, I liked Peter's ahas, I like what Peter has going on, and I want to find out more about him, how can someone jump into Pup Labs, find out about your book and your website? What are the URLs, calls to action?
Yeah, you can visit my blog, beatyourcontrol.com. It's my marketing blog, business entrepreneurship blog. I share kind of all my wins, losses there. My personal emails on that website, so you can kind of email me if you want to get in touch. I'm on Twitter. I just don't tweet as much as I used to. I'm just kind of focused on building the businesses. For Pup Labs, it's puplabs.com. If you want dog treats, use the code family20 for 20% off your first order. That's kind of how you can get a hold of me and kind of what I'm doing.
Okay, so we said puplabs.com, family20 is that coupon code, and then beatyourcontrol.com is the other website to see about those wins and losses. And as we're winding down, wrapping up our conversation here, Peter, do you have like a time management, like number one tip or secret? Like, because like you mentioned how you have time to focus on these different companies, you have time for the deep thinking, you have time for the publicity, like being on the podcast here. And a lot of people are caught up in the day-to-day or in the managing of the employees. So do you think as we're wrapping up our conversation, do you have any sort of time management tip? Are you all about like time blocking the deep work, or are you all about Pomodoro, or like what's your time management secret?
There we go. Let me cut out for a second.
Oh, no. What's your time management secret was the question.
Oh man, it's honestly hiring people. That's what it is. Hiring more people to do what I can't do or don't want to do very well. And that way just focus on my zone of genius. Because the more I focus on my zone of genius, the better I get at it, which means the faster I can produce results, which means I open up more of my time as a result. That's for sure the biggest thing. Hire more people.
I love it. And so many people are afraid to hire, and I think they have kind of like a scarcity mindset. But then I love your advice there of saying like, well, while you're focused on the lack, on the negative, you're missing the real negative, which is that you're being kept from your zone of genius. So hiring equals that you can focus on your zone of genius, which means that you can get there faster, which means that it opens up even more. So many people see hiring as a way to like kind of constrain and compress, but you're saying hiring frees you up, and hiring means that you can kind of break through in so many different levels. So if you out there in podcast land need that push, that nudge to do more hiring and scale better and build an amazing company, then you need to check out what Peter has going on at beatyourcontrol.com and puplabs.com, and we will see you there. And thank you so much, Peter, for this brief moment in time of stopping by and sharing your stories and your advice. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It was awesome.